What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to be talking about many indicators out there from the data that are suggesting that Tesla might actually see some bullish price action for next week. Now, I'm not saying that Tesla's going to go to all-time highs or anything like that, like relatively soon, but I do think that next week we might actually see more green days. I want to show you why I think that. I'm also going to talk about what the data is suggesting, what the news is saying about Tesla that's very important, and what Elon Musk liked on his Twitter page that's actually pretty huge for Tesla going forward. Now, before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you're going to get 10 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500. So not only will you get those 10 free stocks like that, but out of those 10 free stocks, 5 of them are going to come from this wheel right here. That means you could get 5 free Apple or Tesla shares, a free AMC share, a free Google share. I mean, these are amazing companies. This is a limited time offer, and this is free money that you could get. All you got to do is sign up and deposit $100. The offer ends in just 1 week, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, we had a pretty decent day. I did show you guys my more bullish and bearish targets, but I did tell you guys that I thought this was a lot more probable than us dropping even more, because it did look like we got that bounce off 626. Now, in order for us to continue kind of pushing up to the upside, in order for us to kind of continue moving upwards, one of the things I noticed about Tesla's price action is Tesla has a tendency of trying to break past a resistance, trading sideways in this range for some time. Then it continues to see a push up to the next zone, then it trades sideways and then pushes up from there. So for next week, okay, next week on Monday, the market is going to be closed in commemorance of Juneteenth. So on Monday, the market will be closed, and then Tuesday, we're going to reopen. And I do think it's more probable that Tesla's going to see some green than red. I'm going to show you why. So firstly, the volume was pretty much just average. We got about 30 million, not necessarily great volume, but we were green on pretty decent volume, which is like, I guess, a pretty decent sign. But one of the things about Tesla that you'll notice is that the short volume percentage is one of the indicators of when Tesla makes some bullish moves. And typically when the short volume percentage drops pretty hard, we actually see some bullish price action followed by maybe a spike that causes us to drop a little bit more. And what this essentially represents, right, this chart right here, is the short volume percentage is the percentage of short positions. Now, not literal short positions, but I'm talking about selling. So when there are more sellers than buyers, they have more control. And also shorting does play a role with manipulation, but that's not like the biggest thing right here. So right here, we're seeing a bit of a decrease in the shorts volume percentage, at least like during this time frame right here. And to me, it's looking like we might get a bit of an increase in the price just slightly, followed by more downside probably in the future as we get closer to July, in my opinion. But for next week, I am anticipating some green. I'm going to show you why. So if you look at the options chain, options are very important for stocks because options could play a very big role in the price action based off whether there's gamma or not. And market makers, right? These big companies out there, some of them are actually market makers too, like Citadel. But market makers, what they often do is they try to target max pain. So if you don't know what max pain is, it's just the price level that causes the most loss or the most pain from the options chain. So right over here, according to Investopedia, max pain or the maximum pain price is the strike price with the most open options contracts, and it would cause the most losses, right? So the most or the largest number of option holders. So what the market makers often do is they manipulate the price so that they end up at this max pain price. And when they do this, this causes the most financial losses based off how many options people are buying. So another thing that people talk about is gamma squeezes. And the way a gamma squeeze would work, just to remind you guys of this, you'd have to look at the calls side, okay? And you want there to be an overwhelming amount of calls in the money and way more in the money than out of the money. So you could see Tesla got 156,000 calls in the money and 430,000 calls out of the money. That means that I don't see massive gamma for next week or much gamma, and we're not going to see a massive push to the upside. I mean, I'm not seeing Tesla just run $100 in 1 week, but I do see a little bit of green. And here's the reason why, okay? I apologize if these words are a little small for you, but max pain from the options chain was $650, okay? And look at where Tesla ended up closing at 650 exactly. So this is what the market makers, these big institutions, these big players in the game, all of them were actually paying attention to this. And what's interesting is next week it's at 705. So this could change on a day-to-day basis if something were to happen, if there's like some crazy event or something like that. But as of right now, it is pointing towards us pushing up just a little bit. And what else is a weird coincidence is this right here. Let me go back. We have this gap right here. Let me show you where this gap is. And this gap formed on the 16th, just a couple of days ago. So right here, this gap would take Tesla up to about $700. So to me, it's basically showing that the indicators are suggesting this thing is more likely to continue to push to the upside. Now, from a more technical perspective, without actually looking at just data, we need to look at the technicals. What are we seeing from Tesla? Well, if I zoom out, okay, the overall market was taking a bit of a hit. We could see Tesla dropped pretty hard over the last couple of weeks. This thing went from being almost 800 all the way down to the 600 in just a short period of time. Whoops, sorry about that. In a short period of time. Now, for the SPY, check this out right here. The SPY has been hammered over the last couple of weeks, and we have this gap right here at this like $400 level. And I personally think it would be rare for us to actually run that much. I think the market is not in the best of positions, but it is possible for us to fill one of these lower two gaps. So, I mean, this is also kind of unlikely, but it is possible for the SPY to rally to 390 if that would be the case. But like I said before, that's a little bit less likely. But what is more likely is the SPY might get a bit of a bounce. We almost formed this head and shoulders, this inverse head and shoulders that may cause the SPY to push right back up to that $380 range again. So it is possible it happens next week or within the next like week and a half. So that is something to be really looking out for, very similar to the NASDAQ. And remember, this is just an indication of what the overall market is doing. So as a result of the NASDAQ and the SPY having these gaps that may actually get filled relatively soon, that means that Tesla might actually fill its gap too and maybe push up. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing actually fills or it goes to about $700 sometime next week. That's just my thesis. And here's the thing about that. That's a more bullish possibility based off the bullish indicators. And I do think that that is very, very probable. Now, what is less likely is a continuation to the downside. And I want to show you why on earth that is also a possibility, because from a very more zoomed out perspective, we've been respecting a bit of a downward trend, right? We've been just dropping and dropping and dropping. And we're not necessarily broken out of this downward trend just yet. But what I want to see is, did we truly bounce off 626? Because the last time Tesla got a major bounce a couple of weeks ago, let me show you where it was. This was back in like May, I think. Yeah, back in May. Where is it? Hold on, right here, I think. Wait, not right there. Back in May, sometime in May, Tesla actually bounced off 620. So if Tesla were to drop, we got to get that 620 bounce. Otherwise, it's not going to look good. But I really think that that's very, very unlikely. I just think it's very unlikely we're going to drop that low. I think it's more probable we're actually going to continue to push up just a little bit, get a little bit of relief, because we are starting to respect a bit of an upward trend from here. So all I'm saying is we want to confirm that 626 was that temporary bottom. If not, there would be more downside, but as of right now, it looks like it was, and it does look like we're more likely to start pushing up to about $700 relatively soon, especially going into next week, in my opinion. I also think that we're more likely to be more bullish on the earlier days, because these gap fills and the reactions from the volume we're seeing are more likely to happen quicker. So by Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even part of Thursday, Tesla's more likely to push up, and Friday is more likely to see some red, in my opinion, because that's typically what the market does. But I do think we're doing pretty well. I'd like to see how we respond to these higher levels, and I am anticipating a 700 plus move, us going to about at least 700 sometime next week. Now, what else is interesting that is very important for the market is, yeah, I mentioned to you guys that, yeah, Tesla might see some bullish price action next week, but in the future, by the time we get to July, later months, I do think we're very likely to see some downside or even more downside. I don't think Tesla has truly found its true bottom yet for the year. I do think there will be more downside as inflation is a big issue and we may be entering a recession, or we may even be in one, but we can't confirm it just yet. We'd have to wait for the next GDP report to come out in July. And once that comes out, once we know, that is going to play a big role in how the market performs, especially after a lot of earnings from big companies. Now, as a result of these issues, such as inflationary issues, the supply chain issues, and other things like that, Tesla is kind of increasing some of their prices kind of across the board. So, what we're seeing is right over here, according to Electrek, Tesla has significantly increased the prices of its electric cars for an entire lineup, with some going as high or increasing by $6,000 or more than that. So, the Tesla Model 3, for instance, it went from 54,000 up to about 57, maybe 58,000. That's a $2,500 price increase. The Model Y went from, let me see, the long range one went from 63,000 to about almost 66,000. So we're seeing increases left and right. I mean, cars in general, the entire vehicle sector market is starting to go up as a lot of different things like that. So the Model S dual motor all wheel drive went from 99,000 to 104,000. So we are seeing some increases left and right. I don't think it's going to hurt Tesla too badly. I mean, maybe to some degree, not too badly, because they have a big brand. People love the cars. They love the models. Shouldn't be too bad. I don't think the price being $5,000 higher is going to really stop a lot of people if they were already committed. I just wanted to inform you about this, that this could actually affect their earnings to a degree if something were to happen. And we'll have to see how consumers really responded to these changes. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is this right here, and this is what Elon Musk actually liked on his Twitter page. This person known as Sawyer Merritt, I apologize if I said that wrong. He stated, "Congratulations to GM on leading the pack," which is pretty funny. That's obviously a reference to some political things. I'm not going to get into details about those. But what's funny is if you look at the US EV market share for Q1 of 2022, Tesla made up 75.8% of the share. I actually mentioned this right when this data came out. I talked about this. Hyundai actually now came out at 9%. VW at 4.6%, Ford at 4.5%, and other companies 6.1%. And Musk responded in a very humble way. He said Hyundai is doing pretty well. So yeah, I mean, they are doing well, but here's one thing I want to warn you guys about. That is, in the next upcoming years, Tesla's share is going to drop. This doesn't mean that they're going to get less sales. The EV sector is going to keep growing, but the competition is going to go up, 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 especially VW. It is projected to see a massive increase in their EV sales for the next upcoming years. But I just want to put it out there that don't just look at data like this. The media is going to go crazy when the time comes when Tesla's EV share starts to drop in the US, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, are they still increasing on their overall deliveries? Are they still growing? Are they still innovating? How on earth are they doing when it comes to full self-driving technology and other things like that? So I just want to put this out there. It's something I'm going to warn you guys about now. I'm sure many of you already figured this out. And with that out of the way, I just wanted to say that, yeah, the future is quite capricious, right? Sometimes the market's kind of choppy, but like I said before, I do see a bit of an upward trend kind of continuing. And I do think Tesla's going to fill the gap at 700 relatively soon, in my opinion, before we see maybe more downside after that. But just take this and maybe kind of step away from the markets for a bit, because there are a lot of things coming on Monday. I just think that it's time for us to maybe reflect on the lives we have, the privileges we have, no matter where we are. There are a lot of blessings in our lives. And I just want to thank you for listening. So enjoy your weekend, stay strong, and I will definitely see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.